The email arrived just after lunch. Subject line, vacation request, declined. For a second, I thought it was a mistake. I'd submitted the request 2 months earlier, timing it carefully around the company's annual maintenance cycle. My best friend was getting married in Santorini, and I hadn't taken a single day off in over a year. But when I opened the message, my breath caught. Your vacation request for June 15th to 22nd cannot be approved due to critical system oversight requirements. Please ensure availability that week. It was signed by Ella, my manager. The same Ella who'd spent the entire morning gushing about her destination wedding on June 17th. I reread the message twice, heat rising in my chest. She had just denied my vacation so I could cover the system while she was sipping champagne at her own wedding. It wasn't anger yet. More like disbelief. Then something darker, the quiet realization that she'd done it on purpose. For months she'd made jokes about how dedicated I was. How some people take too much leave. Now I knew what that really meant. And this time, she'd gone too far. I worked at OmniView Technologies, a logistics software firm that ran 24/7 tracking for shipping clients worldwide. As a systems analyst, my job was keeping our cloud dashboards live and running quarterly updates to ensure uptime. Those updates weren't small. Each one was scheduled weeks in advance, requiring team coverage, backups, and testing. June 17th, Ella's wedding day, had originally been blocked out for maintenance, then rescheduled. By me. Because I knew she wanted that weekend off. And now, she had denied my request for that same week. I stared at the shared calendar on my monitor. She had approved her own unavailability entry, destination wedding, out of office. The irony made my stomach twist. I leaned back in my chair, eyes fixed on the glowing monitor. Around me, the office hummed, phones, air conditioning, the faint buzz of tired people pretending to be passionate. I'd spent 3 years giving this company everything. Late nights, server crashes, holidays spent monitoring systems from my laptop. I'd missed birthdays, anniversaries, all for team reliability. And now, when I finally asked for 1 week, they wanted reliability again. From me. I clicked open the maintenance schedule. June 17th was still open in the system. And a thought, quiet but sharp, began to form. That night, I sat in my apartment staring at the calendar pinned to the wall. June 17th, circled in red, used to mean freedom. Now, it meant something else entirely. I poured myself a cup of coffee instead of wine. My laptop hummed softly as I logged into the remote admin dashboard. The maintenance window, the one I'd pushed to July, was still editable. 1 click, and it could go back to its original date. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. Not yet. I wasn't reckless. Not anymore. I'd seen enough corporate politics to know that revenge needed precision, not emotion. If Ella wanted me chained to the system during her big day, then I'd make sure the system noticed her absence. Not by sabotage, but by the one thing she couldn't control, policy. The system update was mandatory, quarterly, and required management sign-off. She'd denied my vacation to have me cover it. So, technically, I'd be following orders. I smiled faintly at the thought. Still, I closed the laptop without touching the schedule. The night wasn't for acting, it was for planning. By morning, I'd know exactly how to make it happen. The office smelled like burnt coffee and stale air the next morning. Ella strutted in late, phone glued to her ear, laughing about floral arrangements. I watched her glide past my desk, tan blazer, gold earrings, a scent that screamed money and control. She paused by my cubicle and tapped the desk with her acrylic nails. "Did you see my note about the June schedule?" I forced a polite smile. "I did." "Good," she said, checking her reflection in her phone screen. "I know you were planning some time off, but we'll really need you here. Big clients depend on uptime that week." I nodded. "Of course." Uptime matters. She didn't notice the edge in my tone. When she walked away, I opened our internal chat window and messaged Sam, the only person on my team I actually trusted. Me, you free for a quick sync on maintenance timelines? Sam, sure. Is this about the 17th? Me, maybe. We met by the coffee machine 10 minutes later. I lowered my voice. If someone moved the system update back to its original date, technically that'd be within compliance, right? Sam blinked. You mean June 17th? I nodded. He grinned slowly. That's her wedding day. I just smiled. The next few days passed in a blur of polite conversation and quiet preparation. Ella bragged about her wedding menu, her gown, her guest list, all while handing me extra tasks to cover things while I'm gone. Every favor felt like a shove. I stayed late, running checks and backups under the guise of preparation. But in truth, I was reconstructing the perfect window, the June 17th system update. I reviewed the protocols 3 times. There was no rule against rescheduling maintenance within the same quarter, as long as management approval existed in the system log. And since Ella had already marked herself unavailable that week, the automated system would pull her digital sign-off from previous maintenance sessions. It would look completely legitimate. On Friday evening, the office emptied early. I sat alone in the soft blue glow of my monitor. The cursor blinked beside the schedule update field. 1 click. June 17th, 2 o'clock Universal Time Coordinated. I pressed confirm. The server processed the request, a faint chime signaling success. Somewhere across town, Ella was probably raising a glass at her rehearsal dinner. I smiled at the irony. When her wedding day arrived, she'd finally understand what availability really meant. By Monday morning, the change had gone live. No alarms, no alerts, just one tiny adjustment hidden in the admin feed, invisible to anyone who didn't know where to look. I spent the morning pretending to troubleshoot minor bugs while my stomach buzzed with adrenaline. Each normal conversation felt like walking past a secret. At lunch, Sam slid into the chair across from me in the cafeteria. You actually did it, he whispered. I stirred my soup. Technically, I followed procedure. He smirked. Technically. You realize the update locks all dashboards for 8 hours, right? Finance, operations, everything. I'm aware. He leaned closer. Her ceremony's noon local time. I didn't reply. I just looked at my phone calendar, June 17th, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. maintenance window glowing in gray. Sam shook his head, half amused, half worried. Remind me never to cross you. I smiled faintly. Just don't deny my vacation. The truth was, I hadn't done this for revenge alone. It was about balance, a quiet correction to months of disrespect. Still, I couldn't ignore the flicker of thrill every time I imagined her wedding planner staring at frozen screens. The week leading up to the wedding moved in slow motion. Ella was everywhere, laughing, glowing, radiating bridal perfection. She hosted a team appreciation lunch 2 days before she flew out, mostly to talk about herself. I'll have spotty signal, she said, adjusting her engagement ring so it caught the light. But I'll check emails when I can. Be sure to monitor all critical alerts. I nodded obediently. Of course. We'll keep things stable. She beamed, completely oblivious. After she left, I spent the evening checking every dependency. The patch I'd queued would temporarily disable external client access, standard for updates, and automatically restart servers after validation. Nothing destructive. Nothing unethical. Just policy, executed perfectly. When I shut down my laptop that night, a strange calm settled over me. I wasn't angry anymore. I was prepared. Across my desk lay the printed approval log, her digital sign-off for March. I slipped it into a folder labeled documentation and locked it away. If questions ever came, the paper would speak louder than words. Friday afternoon, the office buzzed with half-hearted energy. Everyone knew Ella had flown out that morning. Her automated out-of-office message had already landed in inboxes. Thank you for reaching out. I'll be unavailable June 15th to 22nd for personal reasons. For urgent matters, contact my team lead. That would be me. People dropped by my cubicle offering polite congratulations, as if I'd been promoted. In a way, I had, at least for 1 week. By 5:30, most lights dimmed. Only the low hum of servers filled the air. Sam walked over, holding 2 takeout coffees. Pre-game? I accepted one. You ready for the quietest Saturday of our lives? He laughed softly. Or the loudest. When he left, I lingered, watching the city lights blink through the glass. Rain streaked the windows, small, silver trails against the dark. I thought about how many nights I'd spent here keeping systems alive while others slept. How loyalty had turned into invisibility. Tomorrow, for once, the system would sleep too. And maybe that was justice enough. The morning of June 17th arrived with a clear sky and the smell of rain on asphalt. I brewed coffee, pulled on an old hoodie, and logged in from home. 2 o'clock Universal Time Coordinated, update initializing. Lines of code scrolled across the screen like calm rainfall. Everything was going smoothly. At 3:12 Universal Time Coordinated, access locks engaged. Dashboards offline. At 3:14, notification emails deployed automatically. Scheduled maintenance in progress, estimated completion, 8 hours. I sat back, sipping coffee, watching the system hum. Somewhere thousands of miles away, Ella was stepping into a white dress, probably posing for photos, certain the world revolved around her. At 4 o'clock, Sam texted, all good. Servers cycling. I sent a thumbs up. Half an hour later, messages started appearing in the shared Slack. Why can't clients access the portal? Is there an outage? I typed calmly. Routine maintenance, as scheduled. All documented. Then muted notifications and leaned back, heart steady. For the first time in months, I felt control returning, quiet, deliberate, complete. By mid-morning, the office chat had turned into a storm. Finance couldn't pull data. Sales couldn't generate invoices. Even the CEO had joined the thread, demanding updates. I responded with short, polite notes. System update proceeding as approved. Every word truthful. At 11:45, Sam messaged me privately. They're freaking out. Ella's phone's off. Of course it was. Ceremony time. I opened the monitoring dashboard, watching progress bars inch toward completion. Nothing broken. Nothing delayed. Just silent proof of obedience. Then my phone buzzed, a message from Ella's personal account. Hey, can you hold off any big system work today? Getting alerts on my phone and don't want interruptions. Thanks. I stared at the screen, disbelief melting into a grin. Too late. The update was already in its final stage, irreversible without full rollback authorization, which only she could give in person. Outside my window, sunlight poured across the city like a spotlight. I took a slow sip of coffee and whispered to myself. Enjoy your big day, boss. By the time noon rolled around, the company group chat looked like a war zone. Client dashboards offline. Operations can't track shipments. Someone fix this now. I sat in my quiet apartment, reading the messages like a spectator. Every complaint was just proof that the maintenance was working exactly as designed. At 12:05, Sam called me. They're losing it. The VP wants an emergency rollback, but Ella's the only one with override access. She's busy, I said dryly. You think she'll notice the notifications during her vows? I smiled. If she's checking her phone at the altar, that's a different kind of problem. He laughed nervously, then lowered his voice. You're sure everything comes back up clean? Perfectly clean, I said. I'm not wrecking the system, just making it listen for once. After we hung up, I stared at the glowing screen, feeling something I hadn't in a long time: peace. It wasn't revenge anymore. It was symmetry. At 3 p.m., the first outside call hit my phone. It was Martha, head of client relations. Why didn't anyone tell me there'd be downtime today? She snapped. I have 6 angry clients threatening to cancel contracts. It was scheduled maintenance, I said evenly. Approved months ago. By who? I opened the digital log and read aloud, approval by Ella Morton, timestamp March 6th. Silence. Then a heavy sigh. She's unreachable. Then I suggest we stay the course, I said. We'll be back online before end of day. After I hung up, I could almost feel the ripple spreading across departments: confusion, blame, panic. None of it pointed to me, every record led straight to her. Still, guilt tried to nudge its way in. But then I remembered every ignored message, every denied request, every time she called my commitment cute. This wasn't cruelty. It was accountability, written in code. By 4 p.m., the update was 96% complete. Right on schedule. At 5:15 p.m., systems came back online. No bugs, no corruption, just a full refresh. The internal chat slowly shifted tone from panic to stunned silence. Then the CEO posted, "Maintenance complete. Appreciate everyone's patience." I watched the threads quiet one by one, then finally closed my laptop. The day had unfolded exactly as planned. That night, as I cooked dinner, my phone buzzed again, an unknown number. I hesitated, then answered. Static crackled before a voice came through. What happened today? It was Ella. Her voice was hoarse, the background loud with chatter. Routine maintenance, I said. Everything went smoothly. I'm getting messages from every department, she hissed. You chose today of all days? I kept my tone polite. I followed your schedule approval, Ella. It's in the logs. For a second, all I heard was breathing. Then, a whisper, you did this on purpose. I smiled faintly. You're the one who wanted me available. She hung up without another word. Monday arrived like a storm. Ella was back in the office, veil replaced with fury. She swept through the hallways in silence, heels striking the tile like gunfire. By 9 a.m., she called an emergency meeting. The entire department packed into the conference room, tense and quiet. She stood at the front, arms crossed, voice tight. Someone rescheduled the June update without proper notice. Do you know what that cost us? I raised my hand calmly. Actually, it was rescheduled within compliance. The approval came from your digital signature. Murmurs rippled around the room. Sam kept his gaze fixed on his laptop, fighting a smirk. Ella's jaw tightened. That's not possible. I never. I slid a printed copy of the log across the table. Timestamp March 6th, signed by you. It's all verifiable. She scanned the page, face draining of color. The CTO, who joined quietly in the back, leaned forward. Ella, did you review this before approving? She opened her mouth, then closed it. The silence was beautiful. After the meeting, I sat at my desk pretending to work while whispers spread like smoke. By noon, the whole floor knew. Ella spent the morning in and out of closed-door discussions with senior management. Every time she passed my desk, her glare could have cracked glass. At 2 p.m., the CTO stopped by. Mia, he said, using my name softly, almost kindly. Can I see you in my office? My pulse quickened, but I followed. Inside, he gestured to a chair. You executed the update flawlessly. I checked the logs myself. Everything's legitimate. I nodded. I just did my job. He smiled faintly. You did. But next time, give us a heads up before the whole company panics, all right? I met his eyes. Understood. As I left his office, I caught sight of Ella sitting alone at the far end of the hallway, staring at her phone, expression hollow. The Queen had finally realized her crown was digital, and I had rewritten the code. By Tuesday morning, Ella had gone from silent to furious. Her heels echoed through the hall as she barked orders, calling emergency process reviews and whispering to HR between meetings. Rumors moved faster than emails. People said she was trying to prove I'd manipulated the schedule, claiming I'd abused access. I said nothing. Silence was stronger than defense. Around noon, I got a calendar invite, meeting, HR and management. 3 p.m. Sam caught my eye across the office. She's really doing it, he murmured. Of course, I said. She can't lose face. Not after that meeting. When I entered the HR room later, Ella was already there, arms folded, eyes burning. Beside her sat Nora, the HR manager, calm but wary. Nora gestured to me. Mia, Ella's raised concerns about unauthorized schedule changes. Can you explain? I opened my folder, slid the printouts forward. All approvals traced to her digital sign-off. I've included audit logs. Nora studied the pages. Ella's face stiffened. After a long pause, Nora said, "We'll verify this." Thank you, Mia. As I stood to leave, Ella hissed quietly, "This isn't over." I smiled politely. I never said it was. That evening, I stayed late again. The office emptied, leaving only the low hum of machines and the soft buzz of fluorescent lights. I wasn't working, not really. I was documenting. Every message, every approval, every timestamp from the last 6 months went into a neat digital folder labeled Integrity. It wasn't fear that kept me there, it was preparation. I'd learned long ago that truth meant nothing without proof. At 8:45 p.m., Sam messaged me. "She's calling around, asking IT to audit your access logs." "Let her," I typed back. I don't delete, I archive. When I finally shut down my laptop, the screen's reflection caught my face. I looked calm. Not triumphant, just steady. Walking out of the building, I thought about how power worked. People like Ella believed control came from authority. But real control came from composure, from knowing you'd already won before the shouting even started. By morning, she'd realized that no storm could drown facts. The next day, HR called again. This time, the CTO was present. His calm voice filled the room. "We reviewed the audit trail," he said. "Everything checks out. The system registered the update as routine maintenance, approved months ago. No breach." Ella's mouth tightened. Then she must have forged the approval. I met her eyes. "You're welcome to verify the encryption keys. They're time-stamped by the server." Nora glanced between us, clearly uncomfortable. "Ella, the evidence supports Mia's account." Silence fell. Finally, the CTO leaned back. "Ella, regardless of intent, the lack of communication was unprofessional. You'll take accountability for the misalignment." Her lips parted, but no sound came out. "Mia," he continued, "you handled the incident with composure. Thank you for stabilizing the rollout." I nodded once. "Just doing my job." After the meeting, Ella avoided eye contact, retreating to her office. The power shift was complete, not loud or messy, but quiet and absolute. By evening, whispers confirmed she'd been asked to take personal leave. The irony wasn't lost on me. A week passed. The company settled into an eerie calm, as if no one wanted to mention what had happened. Clients returned, systems purred smoothly, and management quietly praised the seamless recovery. Ella's desk sat empty, her plants wilting in dry soil. No one dared water them. Sam stopped by my cubicle one afternoon. "You really did it," he said softly. "I didn't do anything illegal," I replied. "Just followed the rules." He laughed. "That's what makes it genius." I smiled but said nothing. The truth was, victory felt strange, not satisfying, not bitter, just resolved. Later that day, an HR email arrived company-wide. Effective immediately, Ella Morton will be departing OmniView Technologies. We thank her for her contributions. The office buzzed with half-hidden grins. I leaned back, staring at my monitor. The system dashboard glowed steady green. No errors. It felt symbolic, stability restored. Sometimes justice didn't roar, it logged itself quietly and went green again. That Friday, Nora from HR invited me for coffee. "Off the record," she said. We sat near the lobby window, sunlight spilling across the table. "You handled yourself remarkably," she said. "The CTO's recommending you for senior systems lead." I blinked. "Seriously?" "You earned it," she said simply. "Most people would have lost their temper. You let the evidence speak." I nodded, smiling faintly. As I walked back upstairs, I passed Ella's old office, empty now, blinds half drawn, a faint ghost of perfume lingering in the air. I paused in the doorway. For a moment, I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. Then I remembered the denied vacation, the long nights, the quiet dismissals. Power, I realized, isn't taken, it's transferred to those who wait long enough for arrogance to undo itself. That evening, I updated the system logs one last time, tagging the maintenance entry with a small note. Completed successfully. No further issues. It was true, on every level. The promotion became official the following week. The CTO called me into his office, smiling for the first time since I'd known him. "Mia," he said, "you've shown what leadership actually looks like, calm under pressure, data over drama." I shook his hand, my pulse steady. "Thank you." When I walked back to my desk, people clapped softly. It wasn't loud celebration, just quiet respect. The kind that feels earned. That afternoon, I cleared out Ella's old office. The walls were bare except for a forgotten sticky note on the monitor, "Remember to smile." I almost laughed. I moved my few things in, one mug, one notebook, and the small photo of my friends at the beach. The photo I'd meant to add to my vacation folder before all this began. Outside the window, the city shimmered in heat and light. For the first time in years, I didn't feel invisible. I felt seen. Settling into the new role wasn't easy. People still walked on eggshells, as if the air carried the ghost of Ella's authority. So I did what she never did, I listened. I invited everyone to an open-door meeting. No PowerPoints, no formal tone. Just conversation. "What's broken?" I asked. "What do you need to make your jobs easier?" At first they hesitated, glancing at each other. Then one voice spoke, then another. Soon the room filled with ideas, real, practical, human. By the end, Sam grinned. "You realize no one's ever asked that before?" "Then it's about time," I said. That evening, I walked the quiet hallway, pausing by the server room. The machines blinked softly behind glass, steady, obedient. For months they'd been my refuge, the only things that listened when people didn't. Now, they purred like partners. I whispered to the hum, "We made it through." And somehow, that felt true. 2 weeks later, I received an email from an unfamiliar address. Subject line, apology. I hesitated before opening it. "Mia. I heard about your promotion. Congratulations." I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I need to say this. I was wrong. I let pride and fear guide every decision. You were the best analyst I ever had. Ella. I read it twice. The words felt both heavy and hollow. For a long moment, I stared at the screen, unsure how to feel. Then I typed back. Thank you for saying that. I hope you find whatever peace you were chasing. No anger, no triumph, just closure. When I hit send, a strange calm settled over me. Revenge, I realized, isn't about hurting back. It's about regaining balance. And balance, once restored, doesn't need applause. The company shifted after that. Transparency became a real policy, not just a buzzword. I pushed for open documentation, shared credit lists, and fair leave scheduling. When new hires joined, I told them vacations matter. So does respect. Don't let anyone make you choose between rest and loyalty. They laughed, not knowing the story behind the advice. That was fine. The lesson didn't need my name attached to it. One evening, as I packed up to leave, Sam stopped by my door. You ever going to take that vacation? He asked. I smiled. Already booked. Same place, same dates, just 1 year later. He raised his coffee cup. To timing. To timing, I echoed. Outside, the sky burned orange over the skyline. The world kept spinning, systems kept running, and for once, I was part of the rhythm, not trapped beneath it. A year later, I sat on a sun-bleached balcony overlooking Santorini. Waves lapped against the cliffs below, slow and endless. My laptop rested closed on the table beside me, notifications silenced. The company could survive without me for a week. I sipped my coffee, letting the wind tangle my hair. Sometimes I thought about that day, the denied vacation, the update, the quiet click that changed everything. Not with guilt. With gratitude. Because that moment taught me the simplest truth. Respect isn't requested, it's enforced through boundaries. I opened a blank page in my journal and wrote. If they won't give you time to breathe, take it. And if they underestimate your silence, let results speak louder than anger. The sea shimmered below, endless and calm. I smiled, whispering to the horizon. System stable. No further issues. And for the first time in years, I truly meant it.